outside of Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. That's the Walk of Champions. Nick Saban's team can truly make that claim with back-to-back national titles. A.J. McCarron hopes to lead them to a three-peat. But the next hurdle is Bo Wallace and number 21, Ole Miss. It's the Rebels, the Crimson Tide, and a battle of SEC unbeatens in Tuscaloosa next. And we welcome you to ESPN's College Football Primetime, presented by Hampton Hotels. From a sold-out Bryant-Denny Stadium on a gorgeous night in Tuscaloosa, number 21 Ole Miss getting set for number 1 Alabama. And we welcome you, everybody. Brad Nessler along with Todd Blackledge. We mentioned back-to-back national titles, 3 of the last 4 years. Ledge, you don't even have to use both hands in the last 5 years to count the number of losses this team has had. And yet, they've been questioned. They did have kind of a lackluster performance. They admitted it last week. Do we see the real Alabama tonight?
My expectation is we'll see Alabama's most complete game of the season. Now, they have had some inconsistency in their performance, particularly in the offensive line and in their secondary. But that game last week, you got to remember, they were missing some key pieces to the puzzle of this football team. They played without 2 of their top receivers in Cooper and Norwood, their best offensive lineman, Anthony Steen, their top cover corner, Deion Blue, and their starting nickelback, Jarek Williams. All those guys are back. They're healthy tonight. They're angry, and I think they'll try to make a statement.
I mentioned 7 losses in the last 5 years, and most of those came against dual-threat quarterbacks, and Ole Miss has one.
Well, you know, Alabama has led the SEC in total defense the last 5 years in a row, and if you're going to beat them, you've got to have a quarterback that plays out of his mind. Tim Tebow in the 2008 SEC championship game ran for 57 yards, threw the ball for 216 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Steven Garcia played in 2010 what Steve Spurrier said was the best game of his life. Took care of the football, threw 3 touchdown passes. Also in 2010, Cam Newton on his way to a Heisman Trophy. Didn't run for very many yards, but was 13 of 20 for 216 yards passing in the comeback win. And then last year, Johnny Manziel, the best numbers. He ran for 92 yards. He threw for 253 yards, and he just created a lot of plays and extended plays with his unique ability. But if you got to play them, you better be able to do both. And Ole Miss can do that.
Here comes the Crimson Tide as they get set to take on the number 21 team in the country. 61st meeting between the Rebels and the Tide is coming up. We'll check in with Holly and then kick it when we come back.
ESPN College Football Primetime, brought to you by Expedia. Expedia helps 30 million travelers a month find what they're looking for, one traveler at a time. And TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install. Tire Rack.
Rebels of Ole Miss coming out of their locker room. The SEC on ESPN. They're 3-0, 1-0 in conference play after beating Vanderbilt. Had a week off after an impressive win on the road over the Longhorns of Texas. And the West standings look like this. Before we kick, we check in. 3rd member of our team, Holly Rowe. Holly?
Well, Ole Miss quarterback Bo Wallace had some very bold statements that he made this week against Alabama. He said, I think we can put points on them. He said, we have better wide receivers than A&M, who really torched this Alabama secondary. He also said, I don't think they have NFL first-round corners. Well, Kirby Smart, the defensive coordinator for Alabama, is concerned about the matchup. He said this game could come down to how our corners play. He does get a senior starter back in Deion Blue, who was out last week with a toe injury. But at the other corner spot, they will start a true freshman, either Eddie Jackson or Maurice Smith. Kirby Smart is always concerned about the size mismatch, too. Wide receivers are 6'3" or more for Ole Miss, including their tight end. Their corners are a little undersized, so he thinks that could be a big matchup tonight.
All right, Holly, we're going to watch it. And Nick Saban was concerned about that when we talked to him yesterday. He's a perfectionist in how he calls defense. And with the tempo that Ole Miss presents, it's hard sometimes to make the substitutions that he and Kirby Smart want to make. Hugh Freeze, his 2nd year. He's got the folks at Ole Miss pretty excited after a 7-6 campaign and a bowl win. In his 2nd year, And he's got his team 3-0 and 1-0. The Tide has won 9 straight in this series and 17 of the last 19. They've won 7 straight games dating back to last season, the 3rd longest streak in the country. Ole Miss won the toss. They want the football. So Cade Foster is set to get us underway at Bryant-Denny. Jalen Walton a yard deep, and he takes a knee, and Ole Miss will start from the 25. Bo Wallace will bring him out. There's his numbers out of Pulaski, Tennessee.
He's had a great start. Now, a couple things about Bo Wallace. He doesn't have the strongest of arms. He's been pretty accurate, but it'll be very important for him tonight to do 2 things. Number 1, make great decisions, and number 2, take care of the football.
Last year he didn't. Led the SEC with 17 interceptions, but as you saw on that graphic, none this year so far.
And a couple interceptions in the first half of this game last year here in Tuscaloosa really turned a close football game into an Alabama rout in the first half.
Well, that one ended up 33-14. Play action. Wallace comes up firing deep. It's tipped. It's caught on the run. Laquan Treadwell. And he's got it all the way down to the 37-yard line.
Ole Miss has not been a team that has thrown the ball vertically much so far in the first 3 games. There they go. First play action, and they get behind the safety, Sensuri. He gets a hand on the ball, but Treadwell keeps the concentration.
Here they go with tempo. They barely got the chain gang moved down to the 37-yard line. 1st and 10, Ole Miss. And now it's Wallace sliding to the 35. Barely had time, haven't had time to take a look at our Chick-fil-A impact players. Guess who already made an impact? Laquan Treadwell. Jeff Scott, their leading rusher. He is quick. Holly talked about the corners being important. We put the 2 corners out there. We'll see how they do. Eddie Jackson and Deion Blue. One a veteran, one a freshman.
Right now, Eddie Jackson is going up against their senior, Dante Moncrief, or junior, I should say. Very physical receiver.
3 receivers to Wallace left. And cutting up to the inside is Scott. Close to a first down, about a yard shy. He is a little guy, but he's tough.
He's tough. He's become a better runner in between the tackles. Got a good block by his right guard, Jared Duke. And he's tough enough to take it up inside and bring up a 3rd and short. The key thing to this offense and running tempo is making first downs. That's critical for this offense.
He's not going to get it this time. C.J. Mosley's got him stood up. Along with Derek Williams, and it's going to be 4th down.
Well, it looks like he's going to go for it. Hugh Freeze elected to take the football on the first possession. You would think maybe he'd want to get points here on the first possession of the game on the road. He wants to go for it here on 4th and short. Let's see if he actually runs a play or if they just try to get a freeze count and get an offsides for a first down.
4th down and a yard. They're 5 out of 8 on 4th down conversions so far this season. Treadwell taking it wide. Cartwheels for the first down, I think. Clinton Dix hit it.
They're going to spot him short, I think.
Oh, I don't know about that one. Unless some body part landed there. I thought he cartwheeled over the first down line.
What a great tackle in the open field by Clinton Dix on a big receiver. Treadwell running from the running back position. He's a big body. Well, I think that might be right. Where the ball came down was behind his feet, behind the first down marker.
They're going to bring out the chains to look at it.
Wow.
And it's short.
That was an outstanding tackle by a guy who is quickly becoming a star in this Alabama defense. Clinton Dix.
There you saw an Ole Miss fan telling his son we were that much short. So Alabama takes over on downs when we come back. 12:42 remaining first quarter. McCarron, play action. Gonna go deep. Got it. Touchdown.
McCarron makes it look so easy.
Touchdown, Alabama!
McCarron firing. Touchdown.
AJ steps up. He's going to run it in. He's in for a touchdown.
I really think the sky's the limit.
And A.J. McCarron brings his offense out for the first time tonight after Ole Miss was stopped on 4th and short.
Yeah. And they have been traditionally a heavy play action pass team on first down, especially bootleg. They really like to come out doing that off of their run game.
T.J. Yeldon behind McCarron on the first snap of the game for the Tide offense. He's going to throw on, well, he's not going to get anything going. We got flags down. Hubert Owens with our first penalty of the day.
Snap infraction on the offense. 5 yards. Still first down.
I guess it's on Ryan Kelly, the center. So it backs it up to the 23.
One of the things that has been most concerning for Alabama has been the development of their offensive line. They lost 3 guys to the NFL last year, 3 new starters, and they come in tonight averaging only 132 yards a game rushing, the lowest they've had in a long time.
And the worst in the SEC. McCarron drops to throw, getting pressure. And now he's going to try to run behind his lineman. Only got about 2 yards. He was following Steen, the right guard. C.J. Johnson made the tackle. So we take a look at our Chick-fil-A impact players. Christian Jones had a touchdown return of 99 yards last year. Amari Cooper didn't play last week. He should be a big part of this. Serdarius Bryant in for Denzel Kimdichie. But we'll see him tonight. And Robert, his freshman brother, they've moved him inside at times, or will at times, to tackle tonight. So second down. McCarron throws on a crossing route, completes. Kenny Bell across the 30 out to about the 32, or it's going to ring up third down and long.
2 drop back passes in a row, and both times Ole Miss able to create pressure. It's not a particularly big defensive front 7, but they're very quick and they're very active. And they thought the Alabama coaches were concerned about that, their quickness and their movement up front.
Alabama hasn't been great on third down this year. 33%.
Here's Kimdichie right here playing the tackle position now instead of defensive end.
McCarron in the shotgun. Third straight drop back. Now he fires deep down the middle. He's got his man. There's our impact player, Christian Jones. And Jones has got a first down out at the 47-yard line.
Well, picking up right where he left off last week. He had 9 catches for 90 yards. He had a 99-yard kickoff return against Ole Miss last year that was a huge part of the game. And he makes a big conversion on third down. There's Kimdichie late. Good pressure again on A.J. McCarron, but McCarron able to hang in there and make the throw.
They get 16 on 3rd and 7. And now maybe they can go back to the ground game. They've yet to give it to T.J. Yeldon. First down in the pistol set. He gets the call here and cuts it outside. Cut down at midfield. Nice open field tackle.
Tony Connor is one of 5 freshmen from this heralded recruiting class that is not only playing for Ole Miss, but starting. He's a guy who is very mature for his age, Batesville, Mississippi, and he's starting at the what they call their Husky position, or the extra defensive back. Has played very well so far.
Alabama's not a big hurry-up tempo team, but they go to the line without a huddle at midfield. Yeldon pops into the secondary. T.J. Yeldon all the way down to the 26-yard line. Cody Pruitt was the last line of defense, and he made the tackle.
Nice double team by the center and the right guard. Watch right in here. Center and the right guard get a nice double team on Kimdichie. And that's all that Yeldon needed to squeeze through there and get upfield for a nice game.
3 receivers to the top of your screen on first down at the Ole Miss 27-yard line. Play fake. They're going to throw a screen out. Jones again, weaving his way through traffic. And he got inside the 20 by a shade, picked up 7.
Dave Womack, the defensive coordinator for Ole Miss, told me Wednesday when I was over in Oxford, he anticipated that they were going to see a lot more 3 wide receiver sets, 4 wide receiver sets from Alabama. He thought that this wide receiving group that Alabama has right now is the best he's ever seen at Alabama at one time.
That's saying a lot, isn't it?
Absolutely.
2nd down and 3. And again, Yeldon up the middle. And he's going to get the first down. Right around the 16-yard line.
A really nice response by this Alabama offense, particularly the offensive line. After Ole Miss went for it on 4th down instead of trying a field goal, they got stopped. And now Alabama has put together a nice drive to get inside the red zone.
In the red zone at the 16-yard line. Kenny Bell moves in tight on the right. And the stretch play, and the ball is out. But Yeldon fell on it himself. Lucky bounce right there for TJ.
Well, TJ Yeldon, he's still a young back. Had a critical fumble in the Texas A&M game down going into the end zone, or close to the end zone. Very fortunate that ball popped back to him. Looked like it was handed off correctly by A.J. McCarron, and Yeldon just didn't secure it.
Loss of a yard. 9th play of the drive coming up. Alabama's had their share of lost yardage plays this year, and that's a little bit unlike their character. So on 2nd and 11, A.J. McCarron in the shotgun. Ole Miss thought about a blitz. He throws across the middle, and Yeldon goes down in a pile. Tony Connors made 2 really nice tackles in the open field on this drive.
And I'll tell you, the other thing that is encouraging for Ole Miss on this possession, they are getting pressure on A.J. McCarron. He's been knocked to the ground 2 or 3 times in this drive. So they're getting there a hair late, but they're making their presence felt. And, you talk about staying on schedule. That negative play you talked about that put them at 2nd and 12, this is not a comfortable position for any offense. 3rd and 12 on the 16-yard line.
10th play of the drive. They need a chunk of yardage to keep it alive. McCarron fires quickly. Bell hit immediately after making the catch around the 11. And it's going to be 4th down, and field goal unit will trot out. Good job by the Ole Miss defense.
Yeah. A very promising drive that got set back on that fumble by Yeldon that put him at 2nd and 12, and now they've got to settle for 3.
Foster hasn't tried a lot of field goals this year. Only 2. This one should be easy. 28-yard attempts. A.J. McCarron, keep in mind, is the holder. Foster to try to get the first points of the ball game. Has it from 28. So the Tide on the board first. 3-0 lead with 6:23 remaining first quarter.
ESPN College Football Primetime is presented by Hampton Hotels. Feel the Hamptonality. And in part by the Volkswagen Passat. That's the power of German engineering.
Got a lot of hardware over there. A lot of crystal ball trophies. 15 national championships over the years. Tonight's aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Brad Nessler, Ty Blackledge, Holly Rowe, Bryant-Denny Stadium. It is a gorgeous day and night for football here in Tuscaloosa. And 61-yard drive by the Tide, but they failed to find the end zone. Had to settle for a 28-yard field goal by Cade Foster. Jalen Walton, Kayla Moore back deep. This one should be returnable. In fact, they're going to have to hustle to get to it. It'll be Walton at the 10-yard line. And Walton, nice return out to about the 29-yard line. And I think Reese Davis is probably looking a little better than when I saw him in the Atlanta airport the other day.
Hey, easy there, big fella. Dr. Pepper 10 conference update. LSU and Georgia. Georgia with a 7-point lead. Look at that catch by Jarvis Landry on the spin of the magic bean from Zach Mettenberger. Kenny Hilliard tied it up with a touchdown. Marshall Morgan just answered with a field goal, and back and forth they go in Athens. Dogs by 3.
Good game going on in Athens. Just getting warmed up here in Tuscaloosa. Wallace in the shotgun. Wants to throw on first down. Whips it out. It's going to be a loss. Dante Moncrief run out of bounds by Trey DePriest.
You know, so many people want to make the comparison of A&M's offense and Ole Miss. The only thing that's super similar is the pace and the tempo. Very different teams. A&M's running game, inside zone, and quarterback run.
Wallace gets it complete. It's going to be short of a first down. C.J. Mosley bringing down Evan Ingram.
Ole Miss's offense is a perimeter run team. They're a run-first team. They like to get Jeff Scott on the perimeter, and they combine that with a power run with the quarterback off that sweep to the perimeter.
Trying to change up personnel. Jeff Scott hustles off.
They might have to take a timeout.
Yeah.
They look discombobulated here. They got a lot of time left on the play clock, though.
Alabama thinking about a blitz.
See, what that gives Alabama time to do is to call a pressure defense. Because it's slowed down, expect pressure now from Alabama on this third down play.
Wallace, plenty of time, throws high and incomplete. Vince Sanders, the intended receiver. Kirby Smart, the defensive coordinator, forces a fourth down. And Hugh Freeze not too crazy about how his offense looks right now.
Well, again, 3 and outs are horrible for any offense, but particularly this offense because they're built on making first downs. That allows them to play fast. Coming into the game, they averaged 27 first downs a game. Alabama on defense averaged holding their opponents to 17 first downs a game. So that's a key thing to watch as this game unfolds.
Tyler Campbell's punt. Christian Jones will take it at the 15. And nice coverage by Ole Miss. He goes down right where he caught it. Just under 5 minutes remaining. First quarter. A.J. McCarron and the Tide offense with a 3-point lead coming back. Big night in the Pac-12 tonight on ESPN, on ESPN2 at 10 on ESPN. Fifth-ranked Stanford takes on Washington State at 10:30 on ESPN2. USC traveling to Arizona State to meet the Sun Devils. Stanford, Washington State at 10 on ESPN. USC, Arizona State at 10:30 on ESPN2 tonight. There's the quarterbacks that you'll see in those two games later on this evening when we're done.
Look at that Washington State quarterback's numbers. That's a season for some guys. Jeez.
C.J. Johnson for Ole Miss, who led them in sacks last year with 6.5, was carted off the field to the locker room a moment ago, and that could change the defensive front considerably. Although Kendichi is still playing tackle on this first snap. And nice play.
Yep, there's a negative play.
Shackelford on the stop and a loss on the play as we check in with Holly.
Well, Brad, as you said, defensive end C.J. Johnson taken off the field. He had his right leg completely untaped. The shoe was off. The sock was off on the lower leg of his right leg. He was not putting any pressure on that. So they brought in Carlos Thompson, who normally backs up Robert Nkemdiche. He's going to be at the defensive end position right now, number 54.
All right, Holly, now we know. There we go. And
good to see Shackelford make that play, too. He's a guy who missed 2 complete seasons because of knee injuries. He's not quite the same player he was, but a nice play there on first down.
Senior out of Decatur, Alabama. Yeldon can't find any room to run. Ole Miss's defense doing a good job. Cameron Wiggum was the first guy there, and then Shackelford again.
You know, last year when these teams played here in Tuscaloosa, Ole Miss did a great job against this Alabama offense. They held them to 125 yards rushing, almost 100 below their average. The difference in the game was a kickoff return for a touchdown by Christian Jones and 3 interceptions that Ole Miss threw all in the first half, and that lead went to 27-7 at halftime. But defensively, they really caused problems for Alabama last year.
And again, here's another 3rd down and 11. They had one of those earlier and ended up settling for a field goal. In this case, they're back at their own 14-yard line. Quick throw on a screen. Wow.
What
Can't
a defense.
play it any better than that.
What a defensive possession for Ole Miss. They had a 3-and-out by their offense. It didn't take any wind out of the sails of the defense. They get the negative play on first down and then 2 solid tackles on 2nd and 3rd down. Mike Hilton with the big stop there.
Well, Alabama's got a kick. Cody Mandel, who's number 2 in the conference and number 5 in the country in punting, set to kick away to Jeff Scott. But Jeff Scott is one of those kind of guys like Christian Jones who can take it the other way in a hurry. Mandel's inside his own 5-yard line. High snap. He handled it beautifully. Not a very good kick, though, unless he gets a good roll out of it. And Scott's just got to backpedal and get out of the way. That could have been a disaster. You got to give Cody Mandel a lot of credit for one hand in that baby and just getting it out of there.
Alabama's got a true freshman long snapper, Colt Mazza. That time, that could have been disastrous. In the end, it turned out okay for him.
I'm telling you right now, you gotta let it go. Yeah, we're gonna set it off.
Out comes Bo Wallace and the Ole Miss offense. Mentioned he's out of Pulaski, Tennessee, top college football player in Mississippi, the Connerly Trophy winner. 8 rushing touchdowns last year. Good runner, a gritty player is what the Alabama coaches said to us. Tough kid, looks like Sunshine from
Remember the Titans? Yeah. Well, Sunshine needs to get the ball to his playmakers right now. Number one, that's got to be Jeff Scott. He's got to get involved here.
They're trying to get him involved. Alabama's defense not letting him get too involved. Deshaun Robinson with a flag down, might have a face mask.
Right now, Ole Miss has 2 true freshmen in on the offensive line.
There's no foul for the face mask. There was no opening to grab on the face mask. It'll be second down.
Well, when you got the visor on there, I guess it slid right off.
Yeah.
Let's check in with Holly.
Alabama running back TJ Yeldon getting stretched out on the training table right now. One of the athletic personnel pointed to kind of a spot on his lower left back. They're just stretching him out. I was told that he will return.
Second down and 9. Trips to the right of Bo Wallace. He's looking that way off play action. Flushed out of the pocket. And trying to get it to Treadwell, but too wide, incomplete. Deshaun Robinson was given chase.
Well, on the last 2 possessions, Ole Miss has failed on 3rd down and 2. This is a little bit different, 3rd down and 9. And again, it gets back to the decision making, how important it is for Bo Wallace to make good decisions. His defense is playing well. Don't force a ball against this defense and create a momentum change.
Coming into tonight, they were better than 50% on their 3rd down conversions. Alabama's going to blitz. Wallace in trouble. He got rid of it, and he got it complete to Moncrief. Moncrief inside the 40 and down to the 36-yard line of Alabama. I didn't know if he was going to get that one away.
Alabama kind of sold out and brought pressure, and for whatever reason, Moncrief found himself all alone. A breakdown, obviously, in the secondary. Here you see the true freshman corner who was beaten on the play, Eddie Jackson, and that 1st down conversion enables Ole Miss to play tempo.
They get 26 yards on 3rd and 9. Treadwell wants to throw a pass, intercepted by Alabama's Eddie Jackson.
Well, that's a freshman mistake on offense and a nice play by the freshman on defense. Laquan Treadwell, you only throw this if it's wide open. And it wasn't even close to being open. Just run that ball and get what you can get. Instead, you turn it over, and Alabama has the football.
Celebrating its 9th year, sponsoring a Good Hands Field Goal Nets. All-State makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, All-State's contributed more than $3 million in scholarship funds. Well, Alabama held on a 4th and a yard and took over from Ole Miss. And now with the interception, they get it back again. And when they win the turnover battle, they don't lose ball games.
They don't. Just a freshman mistake by Treadwell.
Kenyon Drake with Yeldon still getting stretched out over there, as Holly told us, is the tailback for Alabama as they start in their own 27-yard line.
The 2 tight ends set now for Alabama. Run or play action set for them on 1st down.
Nice spin move by Drake. And still moving the pile. They're going to get it out to about the 32-yard line. That looked like a 2-yard game and it became 5.
Yeah, Ole Miss had this play well defended. Again, their quickness and movement up front This should have been a negative yardage play. Good penetration by the nose guard, Isaac Gross, but then nobody wrapped up on the tackle, and Drake just kept chugging along for positive yardage.
3 wideouts in there right now for McCarron on 2nd down and 5. Quick slant completes to Norwood, and Norwood, who didn't play last week, is going to get a first down. He was one of those guys Todd talked about. I'm going to say he was down.
Now this is where I would expect a play action and a deep throw by A.J. McCarron. Amari Cooper, who did not play last week with the toe injury, in the ball game, and Kenny Bell, who maybe is their most explosive wide receiver. That's what I would expect right here on 1st down.
Kenny just walked up to A.J. McCarron and said, are you going to throw it to me like Todd said? 1st and 10. McCarron 7 for 7. 5 different receivers he's used so far. There's the play action. He loads it and lets it rip. Nobody home. Incomplete, intended for Amari Cooper or Christian Jones, both out there. Let's check in with Reese Davis.
Brad, SportsCenter right now, presented by Ally Bank. The barn burner going on in Athens. LSU on a Jeremy Hill touchdown as the lead 41-37. But with just over 2 minutes to play, Georgia is at LSU's 25, trying to save themselves.
A lot like the SEC championship game last year.
It's funny how you get a chance at redemption in the world of sports. Aaron Murray in that position again.
And of course, that loss, the SEC championship, was to this team, Alabama, that went in to win the national crown. Drake, oh man, did he get whacked over there on the side by the LSU defense again. And Channing Ward, one of the guys that made the hit.
Well, it's obvious to me that this Ole Miss defense that created problems for the Alabama run game last year is back at it again. They're not particularly big, but they have excellent team speed and a lot of movement in their front seven, and they are really making the running game difficult for Alabama here in the first half.
Now, Ole Miss wanted to keep it close to the fourth quarter. They've kept it close in the first quarter, that's for sure. All we've got is a field goal. Tough hitting game between Ole Miss and the Tide here in Tuscaloosa at the end of one.
Welcome back to Tuscaloosa. Ole Miss defensive end that is a starter, C.J. Johnson, had been taken to the locker room on a cart for precautionary x-rays. He had injured his right ankle last year, had some surgery. They just wanted to make sure there is no fracture. There is not. So they have retaped that right ankle. He will attempt to return here, guys. Very important because, as you said, he was their leading sacker last year, one of their most productive players.
All right, Holly, thanks. Preseason choice to be all SEC. And he looks like he's okay over there on the sideline as we start the second quarter with another 3rd down and 11. Third time Alabama's been in this situation. In long yardage on 3rd down. Empty backfield for A.J. McCarron. And he has to throw quickly across the middle. Got it to Norwood. A sidestep job. He's close to a first down. I think he's a yard short. But he did a good job to dance his way up that close.
That was a beautiful call by Ole Miss defensive coordinator Dave Womack. They came with a zone pressure. And Serdarius Bryant came unblocked and got pressure on McCarron. But it was just bad tackling on the back end of the play. Should have held him short.
There's Dave in the white cap and the glasses. And they did hold him 4th down. Not quite a whole yard, but Mandel, who had to handle a high snap last time to get a 47-yard punt, most of it on the bounce. And now he's set to kick away to Jeff Scott again. That snap's perfect. And Scott is going to have a chance at the 14. And he's going down at the 16. Nice coverage. Good job by the Andrew Whites on the special teams to make the hit. Well, the most powerful conference in college athletics will live on a new network. Tradition has found a new home. SEC Network. It launches in August 2014. For more info, go to getsecnetwork.com.
You know, Brad, one of the guys who's been kind of interesting in this game, in the build-up to this game, is an assistant on the Alabama staff now, Tyler Siskey. He was with Hugh Freeze at Ole Miss and at Arkansas State before that. Joined the Alabama staff and very integral this week.
As Wallace, no gain on the play. Integral in a couple of different ways, I guess.
Well, first of all, he was with Hugh Freeze, and so he was very familiar with the offense. He was his wide receiver coach at Arkansas State, and Hugh Freeze said he didn't like losing him because he had to change his whole communication system this summer and how they were signaling plays and what their calls were going to be. And then Siski was very involved in the game planning defensively for Ole Miss this week.
Throw into traffic and a shot to Jamez Logan, first down. And Bo Wallace put some smoke on that one.
It's important that he throws on time, and that was a beautiful timing throw. He doesn't have the arm to drive the ball deep down the field. He's got to throw it on time and make good decisions, and I think they got to stay with that. They've got matchup issues with wide receivers. They got to get the ball to those playmakers.
There he wanted to go out in the flat and decided that was too well covered, so he got what he could, and he maybe got a yard before Jonathan Allen brought him down.
Now, see, that's not a lot of yards. In fact, none, but it's a good decision because it would have been a negative play had he thrown that wide receiver screen. He tried to make something out of it. 2nd and 10 is a whole lot better than 2nd and 13 with this offense.
They actually officially give him one, so it's 2nd down and 9. So far, Jeff Scott has not been a factor out of the Ole Miss backfield. Wallace fires far side, complete, trying to get to the first down marker is Moncrief, and he's about a yard shot.
See, that's the difference, 2nd and 10 and 2nd and 13, because now they got another 3rd down and very short situation where they can run or pass. The quarterback's a threat to run. And a lot of different options at 3rd down and 1, even though they have been stopped on 3rd and 2 twice in the ball game already.
And now a little confusion again, I think, on the Ole Miss offense as far as personnel. They've still got plenty of clock left to work, though. 3rd down, and it's Wallace straight ahead, and I don't know.
Forward progress, that's going to be the key. I thought his forward progress got the first down.
If our yellow line is true, it's going to be a first down. And Hubert Owens isn't even going to check it. First down, Ole Miss. And now they can stay right at the line with another first down and just wait.
One of the things that Kirby Smart and Nick Saban both told us about, that they were concerned with these freshman cornerbacks, is they were going to put their freshmen, because they're bigger, on Moncrief.
Wallace again throws. This time Scott gets collared over there after a pickup of 3.
The problem with that is Ole Miss likes to keep Moncrief lined up on their sideline, which is away from the Alabama bench. So in terms of communicating to the young corners, that's going to be difficult because he's away from their sideline guarding Moncrief.
Bo Wallace 7 out of 9 so far. 2nd down and 7 here. With 11 minutes to go in the first half, and Alabama by a field goal. Pump fake. Wallace, deep sideline, into traffic, almost one-handed and then almost intercepted by Sunseri. Vince Sanders, the intended receiver.
Very good underneath coverage by Dion Blue. Was not fooled by the pump and go. A little pushing off by the receiver Sanders, but Dion Blue in perfect coverage position. And they missed him last week. He is their best cover guy. They actually lost him in the A&M game, which hurt them as well.
3rd down and 7. The Alabama crowd trying to make it difficult for Bo Wallace. Blitz coming. Wallace steps up, throws short. Treadwell dropped the ball. Looked like he had it for a second, but Clinton Dix make sure he didn't hold it.
And a late flag at the end of the play back in the backfield. Probably holding on the offense.
Holding. Offense, number 64. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
Ben Still with the holding call.
Correction, the foul is on number 74.
That's what I thought. Jared Duke. So punting time for the Rebels. And Christian Jones, who has a touchdown return this year in the opener against Virginia Tech, 72-yarder, waits on the end of Tyler Campbell's kick. Whoa, they got close to that one. And Jones will have to let it roll dead around the 20-yard line. Landon Collins made that kick exciting. And he knew he was that close to gamble.
They had a block punt that was returned for a touchdown in their last game against Colorado State. Very close that time.
Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN at Tuscaloosa. Bryant-Denny Stadium, where we got about 101,000 of our closest friends along with us. And Alabama with a 3-0 lead.
C.J. Johnson is back on the field for Ole Miss, which is good to see. Again, their best pure pass rusher. Kimdichie out right now, getting a break. They got a couple backups on the field inside.
Again, Kenyon Drake, the tailback in the pistol set behind McCarron. Going to throw on first down. Completes it out to Amari Cooper. We got a flag down. And let's see if we've got a holding call. No, must be against Ole Miss.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 10, 15 yards added to the end of the play, first down.
Now C.J. Johnson got his ankle taped. Now he's got his feelings hurt. Roughing the passer on A.J. McCarron. Yeah, that was way late.
Yeah, just unnecessary. You can't give these guys any help. They're the two-time defending national champions. They're number one in the country. They're playing at home. You haven't beaten them here except one time in 1988 if you're Ole Miss. Don't help them.
First down at the 41 with the penalty tacked on. And now the throw out to Christian Jones. Jones with a nice stiff arm, and I think he's got another first down as he crossed midfield to around the 49-yard line. We check in with Reese Davis.
All right, Brad, here's how it ended in Athens. Aaron Murray had thrown a touchdown pass to give the Dogs the lead. 4th and 10, Zach Mettenberger's last chance. Mettenberger was great. Threw for 372 yards, but it wasn't enough. Dogs win it, 44-41.
Wow. So Georgia has played 3 top 10 teams, and they've beaten 2. Their only loss to Clemson in their opener.
A little easier to tell what that team's all about compared to some of the other teams across the country.
Here's Drake trying to take it wide. What a nice tackle. Well, did he go down? Yes, he did. Trey Elston with the stop. And Zach Mettenberger and Aaron Murray, who were once roommates as freshmen at Georgia, and they both played sensationally today again. But Mettenberger comes up short, and Aaron Murray, 4 more touchdown passes.
There's a lot been talked about here in the first month of the season in the SEC. What's wrong with the SEC defenses? Has the conference changed? The bottom line is you've got some high-level quarterbacks playing in this league this year. Those were 2 of them. A.J. McCarron's another one. Of course, Johnny Manziel, the reigning Heisman winner.
All A.J. McCarron has done is win 2 national titles and go 28-2 as a starter. And here's his throw over the middle to Vogler, the tight end. And the ball came out. It's still bouncing around, and Alabama's got it.
And Cyrus Kouandjio.
The big fella wanted to run with it a little bit, but you're down, Cyrus. You're down. But you took a great hop on that football in the pile in the middle.
Shackelford's the guy who stood him up. The second guy comes to make the play. That's Kimdichie. Denzel, who was playing his first action since the Vanderbilt game when he hurt his knee. He strips it out, and it's on the ground for a while, got kicked, and Kouandjio able to secure it for Alabama.
So we got the Kouandjio brothers on one side and the Kimdichie brothers playing defense against them. And almost everybody was involved on that play that time. 3rd down and 6. McCarron. Tough throw and a heck of a catch, or did he not catch it? Norwood's got it. First down.
See, that's what Norwood brings to the table for this offense. He's a slot receiver. He knows how to work option routes and in the middle of the field, and then good hands at the end of the play. That's good coverage by Collins, but an excellent catch by Norwood going to the ground.
So the drive stays alive for the Tide. 12 out of 13. A lot of short stuff, but A.J. McCarron's used 7 different receivers tonight. Here he is off play action. Might want to take a shot, and here it comes. And it's too deep. Goes all the way to the goal line. Good coverage by Charles Sawyer on Kevin Norwood as we check in with Holly.
Well, Kenyon Drake in there right now at running back for Alabama. He's getting a lot of the reps on this series. TJ Yeldon is standing on the sideline. He's got his helmet on like he can go back in, but they continue to just kind of massage the back of his left hip, kind of where the hip meets the back. Something just not quite right with TJ, but Kenyon carrying the load right now.
Well, one thing that Alabama likes in 2nd and 10 is screen. We haven't seen one yet, a screen to the running back.
They're going to hand it to Drake. He got hit right at the line of scrimmage again. That front of Ole Miss's Woodrow Hamilton made that stop. They are quick.
They are. And I think the move of Kimdichie inside has been really effective for him. It gives him, he's a big physical guy. Even though he's a true freshman right out of high school, he's a grown man. And he is holding his own in there against Anthony Steen and Ryan Kelly and Ari Kwanjo, the guards in the center.
Usually don't see a kid that's almost 300 pounds be as ripped as he is.
Explosive, great first step quickness. He's got to get better using his hands, as all young guys. That's the next step when you come to college.
Alabama has been living in this 3rd and long situation in the first half. 3rd and 9. McCarron backpedals, throws, complete. And Drake lost the ball again, and this time Alabama gets it again. I think Vogler, the tight end, boy, a couple of breaks. First from one of their offensive linemen, and now their tight end covers the other one.
We talked about the quickness of Kimdichie playing on the inside. Watch this pass rush, how quick he is on his first step. Goes right around Anthony Steen and puts pressure on A.J. McCarron to force the early throw. 2 times in this drive, the ball was on the ground, and Ole Miss not able to cover it.
That time, forced fumble by Woodrow Hamilton. And it forces a long field goal attempt by Cade Foster.
Hugh Freeze has to be thrilled with the way his defense is playing here in the first half, though.
Foster's longest this year, 46. This is a 53-yard field goal attempt. Kick on the way. And he got it. Cade Foster, career-long field goal of 53 yards. So it's been tough to score points for anybody. But for the Crimson Tide, a couple of Cade Foster kicks, and they're up 6-0.
ESPN College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Kingsford Charcoal. Get your grill, Kingsford Charcoal, and everything else you need to throw the ultimate game day tailgate party in your backyard at the Home Depot. Tailgate like a pro.
6-0 Alabama. And our college football primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. Here late in the second quarter, our aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Brad Nessler, Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowe, our ESPN crew in Tuscaloosa, where Cade Foster just hit a career-long field goal to cap a 43-yard drive in 9 plays. And now he's set to kick off to Walton and Moore. Ole Miss defense has made Alabama earn everything they've gotten so far. And now they've got a chance before halftime to try to get some points of their own. Moore from the 5-yard line. Got across the 20 out to the 22 as we check in with Reese.
Brad, this Taco Bell Live Moss moment, and if ever there is a guy who lives Moss, it's Johnny Manziel. Texas A&M and Arkansas on ESPN2. Here goes Johnny Football, maneuvering those size 15s down to about the 20. It set up a touchdown. A&M has a 14-7 lead on the road against the Hogs.
All right, Reese, keep us posted on that one.
So far, this game is almost the identical script of last year. Ole Miss defense played well. Alabama settled for 2 field goals, and then Ole Miss went on a nice touchdown drive to take a 7-6 lead. Let's see if they can put something together here.
Throw out to Treadwell. 3 Tide players waiting for him, and they shove him out of bounds after a pickup of a couple when we check in with Holly.
A developing story for Alabama. The starting center, Ryan Kelly, has been taken to the locker room. They've been examining his right knee, doing some of those ligament tests. I'll keep you updated as soon as possible, but that would be huge for Alabama, who's trying to get some cohesiveness on that offensive line.
And that means that Ted Lindsey would be working at that spot. Here's Bo Wallace taking it straight ahead. Got to the 29, maybe. And so far, Ole Miss hasn't been able to do anything on the ground yet.
And they're 2 for 5 on third downs. And again, making first downs is what's critical to this offense. Averaging 27 a game, only 4 so far in the ball game tonight. If they convert, that allows them to play fast right after the conversion.
Only 4 first downs on the night. Trying to pick one up here on third down at 5. Alabama thinking about bringing an extra man off the corner. Wallace throws that way. He's got a first down. Got it to Dante Moncrief, so they can move the sticks. They've got 4.5 minutes to work with and all their timeouts. That time they were working on Eddie Jackson, the freshman corner. Wallace again looked left first, and now he's going to have to run that way. And maybe got a couple before he's run out of bounds.
Got to find a way to stretch this Alabama defense. They're big in stature. They're physical up front. They're very difficult to run inside on. They maintain leverage. They've been a little bit vulnerable in the back end of their defense. They got to find a way to stretch it.
2nd down and 8. Again, Wallace wanted to let it go one way and comes back the other, and there's nobody home over there. And a flag flies in. We're going to have grounding, I think.
Intentional grounding. Offense. Number 14. Loss of down at the spot of the foul. 3rd down.
First penalty of the night against Ole Miss, and it's really a costly one.
Well, he wanted to throw quick out to Sanders. It wasn't there. He tried to reload. That's a good decision to try to throw it away and avoid a sack. There just wasn't a receiver close enough to avoid the call.
So loss of down, and now it's 3rd down and a mile. Wallace again throws short. They're hoping for some yards after catch. They're getting it for Moncrief, but he only got back to the original line of scrimmage and then maybe one more.
Last year in the ball game, Alabama had 2 field goals. Ole Miss took a 7-6 lead, and then the ensuing kickoff was returned for a touchdown by Christian Jones, 99 yards. Christian Jones about to get his hands on the football again right here.
The punts have been bouncing off the rugby-style kicks of Tyler Campbell, who almost had the last one he tried blocked. But Jones hasn't been able to cleanly field one with a head of steam. And I'm sure Campbell's going to try to keep it away from him here with 3 minutes and 20 seconds left. High snap. And he makes him chase this one as well. And he did pick it up on the bounce, but run out of bounds immediately. 3:09, beautiful night in Tuscaloosa. The Tide in front, but only by 6. The SEC on ESPN from Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. Just a little over 3 minutes remaining in the first half. Time for our
flag
trivia question. Who was the last Associated Press #1 team to lose a September home game to a ranked opponent? I don't think I'm going to know that one. Alabama comes out. New center in there. As Holly said, they checked Kelly's right knee and then took him to the locker room.
Of course, Ryan Kelly taking over for Barrett Jones, a longtime starter here who is actually at the game. We saw him before the game down on the field.
His Rams played on Thursday night. That's why he's got part of the weekend off. And hit in the backfield is Yeldon. Nice job by Tony Connor. How many plays has he made tonight already?
The negative plays, it knocks Alabama off schedule. This offense has to stay ahead of the chains. And now they're 2nd and 10 plus for I don't know how many times, but at least 3 or 4 tonight. Tony Connor, again, one of those true freshmen who is not only playing for Ole Miss, part of that great recruiting class, but starting and playing extremely well.
6'1", 210 out of Batesville, Mississippi. And he's made a lot of great open field tackles tonight, including that one for a loss of 4 on Yeldon, making it 2nd down and 14. McCarron throws over the middle and looking for Norwood, and he got a flag. Norwood turned around, looked for the flag.
Wow.
And Serdarius Bryant, I guess, is going to be the guilty party.
Pass interference. Defense, number 14.
Well, I'd have to
Automatic
see this
first
one
down at the
again.
spot of the foul.
I mean, Sedarius Bryant is an outside linebacker. Norwood is the outside guy going to come in and be picked up by the linebacker. Did he grab him? Yeah, you see the right hand around it. That's what the outside official saw, was that right hand around the body and grabbing Norwood on the inside route.
Well, that's the third penalty against Ole Miss here in the half. And it gives Alabama first down. Still inside their own 20. Draw play, Yeldon. Ole Miss hasn't given him much tonight. Got out to the 22 with a little over 2 to go. And we check in with Reese in the studio.
Brad, coming up in just a second, I'll rouse up Mayday and Dr. Lou here and get them ready for the Buick halftime report. The Dogs were able to get it done. Mountaineers shock Oklahoma State, and Oklahoma finally finds a way to get past Notre Dame. What does that say about the Sooners and their place in the national landscape? We'll talk all about it coming up on the Buick halftime report.
All right, we'll see in a little over 2 minutes. We've got a timeout here with 2:19 remaining in the first half. A couple of minutes ago, we asked you tonight's Aflac trivia question. Who was the last Associated Press #1 team to lose a September home game to a ranked opponent? I'm going to assume it was something to do with Alabama, because I don't think Ole Miss was #1 that many times. Alabama lost to #7 USC back in '78. Here they're trying not to let that happen. They lead 6-0. With just over 2 minutes remaining in the half. A.J. McCarron, there they throw the screen pass to Yeldon. Yeldon trying to hurdle the last man and couldn't. Mike Hilton hung in there and made the stop.
You know, as well as the Ole Miss defense has played tonight.
Timeout.
This is a critical play right here. And a critical situation. It's 6-0. They can't afford to give up any more points. Alabama's going to get the ball to start the third quarter. They've got their team right in position. And even though the offense has struggled, they can get to the locker room. If they can get there at 6-0, they can make some adjustments, try to figure out some other things to do offensively. But they can't afford to give up more points right now, because the Alabama defense really has them figured out right now.
They're trying to force a punt. That's why they took the timeout. And we'll wait and see. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, get your NFL Sunday started on ESPN. 10 o'clock, it's NFL Countdown. Chris and the gang provide all the latest news and updates from around the league right up to kickoff. At 11 on ESPN2, catch Fantasy Football Now. You get all the latest news and injury reports and predictions for the top fantasy performers. So the biggest third down, as Todd said, of the ball game is at hand right here. And it's the shortest third down conversion that Alabama will try. If that gives you any indication of how they've been behind the sticks tonight, 3rd and 4, they haven't even had anything shorter than that.
Well, you know, coming into the game, they were only converting 33% on third down, and their average yards needed was almost 9 yards, 8.7 for the season. Now, A.J. McCarron is 6 for 6 throwing on third down, but they've only converted 2 first downs. It's been all underneath stuff.
And now he's going to take a timeout. I think maybe Alabama was a guy short or something coming out of the timeout. A.J. McCarron, a little disgruntled there with 2:10 remaining in the half. So a little over 2 minutes remaining, and Alabama had to take a timeout, leading 6-0. And some confusion after a timeout. Alabama to have to use a timeout, that's not a normal occurrence either.
Well, if I was Dave Womack right now, I would call some defense where you give them an odd look and put somebody right over the nose of the new center, Lindsey, and see if that creates some disruption on the inside.
They've got a guy right on his nose. McCarron on 3rd and 4. Steps up in the pocket. Late throw, but it's a good throw. Amari Cooper, first down.
Boy, that's a great job by A.J. McCarron, hanging in the pocket as long as he could. Pressure was coming. He does what a quarterback is supposed to do. Climb up in the pocket. Step up, and at the last minute, get the ball for the first down.
Out to the 36-yard line with the 1st and 10 at 1:50 remaining in the half. Alabama 2 timeouts left. McCarron, easy throw and catch.
There's a penalty,
that
too.
might be a late. Nope, no flag yet.
Wow, they're lucky.
Cody Pruitt knocked Kevin Norwood out of bounds.
Pruitt's very lucky because Norwood was giving himself up. He was slowing down to get to the sideline. Ole Miss very lucky they didn't get 15 more tacked onto that play.
They got 8, so it's 2nd down and 2. McCarron with 3 wide receivers. He's only missed 2 passes tonight, and he's hit 8 different guys so far in the first half. Back to the ground game. P.J. Yeldon trying a little jump stop in the hole and never made it to the hole. Cameron Wiggum has done a nice job on the defensive front, too.
Yeah, the run defense. You mentioned earlier how quick they are up front, and they've just caused all kind of problems for Alabama. Alabama with under 35 yards rushing in the ball game in the first half.
Here's the shortest 3rd down the Tide has had tonight. 3rd and 1, just trying to keep the drive going here with 1:15 remaining. Yeldon, and he's got the first down. Out to the 49-yard line. And now we're down to 1:08. Clock stop momentarily.
This one's going to be down the field some. Ole Miss again has to play smart here. They can't afford to give up a touchdown. Field goal may be okay, but they can't afford a touchdown here in the final minute.
McCarron fires to the right side, complete to Norwood. Pickup of 7.
Alabama still has 2 timeouts left.
They're going to take one right here, I think.
Timeout. Alabama.
47 seconds left.
That's the 2nd timeout.
And we'll take a quick timeout with them. Be right back. The Tide took over at its own 19-yard line with 3:09 remaining in the half, and now they have it on the 9th play of the drive. They're down to 1 timeout and 47 seconds, but they're already just a yard or 2 away from field goal range if you consider what Cade Foster did earlier in this quarter when he hit a career long from 53. They would be thinking 7 here, but they know that number 43 maybe can get them another field goal before the break. Second down and 3. A.J. McCarron, plenty of time. Now starting to run out of it, and he throws on the run, and it's incomplete. Intended for Jones, and it ricocheted off his fingertips, but it was out of bounds anyway, or would have been.
Ole Miss choosing to rush 3 that time, drop 8 into coverage. Forced McCarron to leave the pocket. Good coverage down the field on 2nd down. Another 3rd and short situation for McCarron.
He's hit 6 different guys on 3rd down of that 7 for 7. So he's mixing it up and moving it around. He's got another 3rd down and 3 as Foster's starting to warm up on the sideline. See if Ole Miss can come up with a stop defensively. McCarron zips it, completes. Kenny Bell, first down. Trying to get up to the line now with 35 seconds. They don't want to use that last time out for a while. Clock stop while they move the chains. And now they wind it at the 38-yard line. And now we've got whistles and a flag.
Before the snap, false start. Correct. Okay. Before the snap, false start, 79 offense. The penalty is 5 yards from the previous spot. Alabama is elected to use a timeout to avoid the 10-second runoff.
So they have to use their last timeout, and now Nick Saban.
Timeout, Alabama.
Not happy.
That's not the same face we saw when he was telling us about expecting to have a granddaughter soon.
His granddaughter
right?
coming in December, and his face lit up like a Christmas tree in our meeting yesterday. That's not the same face.
No, it's red, just a different kind of red.
Oh, well, they didn't have the 10-second runoff, but they're without a timeout now, and they're going to have to work the sidelines or whatever, or just play for a field goal.
Yeah.
Battle of undefeated teams coming out on Monday Night Football. This is going to be good. Ryan Tannehill's playing as good as anybody right now, leading the Dolphins as they head to New Orleans to take on Drew Brees and the Saints. Coverage starts on Monday with Monday Night Countdown at 6:30, and it's the Dolphins and the Saints unbeaten, 8:25 on ESPN and live on Watch ESPN. There's the numbers for Ryan Tannehill. Drew Brees already over 1,000 yards throwing the ball around.
If there was ever any question how important a head coach in the NFL is, just the return of Sean Payton this year.
Yeah.
I think they like it in New Orleans right now.
I think so too.
I think part of the reason you saw Nick so upset there is he realizes what was in the balance right here at the end of the half. If they scored a touchdown, the way his defense is playing, and they get the ball to start the third quarter, they have control, complete control of the football game.
And where they are right now is not a gimme field goal because of the penalty. 1st and 15. McCarron throws to Yeldon on the run. Got him in stride. TJ Yeldon trying to hurdle a couple of guys. And he got to the 29-yard line. And now the clock winds. 15, 14.
They got to spike it now. They have to spike it because they have no timeouts or run a play. One or the other.
Well, 7 seconds. They're going to throw it to the sideline and get what they can and tiptoe out of bounds with 3 seconds. So well done by A.J. McCarron to Kenny Bell. Senior to senior. And now they bring out Cade Foster.
And that's a senior not panicking. He had time to make that throw and not have to spike it and just get a few more security yards for Foster.
Well, he's already hit tonight from 53. And before that, a 28-yarder. This will be a 42-yard field goal attempt by the senior out of South Lake, Texas. Trying to give the Tide a 9-0 lead at halftime. Foster from 42. Looks like it's going to be perfect. And is. But give Ole Miss credit. They are making the #1 team in the country earn every yard and every point. Let's check in with Holly.
Well, Coach, you get that penalty and you had an impassioned speech for your guys right then. What were you upset about?
Well, you know, we didn't manage the clock very well. We didn't get out on the field on time because we didn't get the communication from the officials, which is our fault, not their fault. And I just didn't think we managed the clock very well, you know, and then we get a penalty that, you know, we're trying to move the ball down the field so we have a chance to score. So we wasted a timeout and didn't manage the clock very well.
You did get the score there to end. That's a positive. But what do you have to do better to move the ball consistently? Their front's affecting you, it seems.
Well, you know, we're not executing, man. We're not getting a hat on the hat. We're missing blocks. We're fanning people. We don't execute on the edge when we have cutter motion. So everybody just got to do their job better. I mean, you know, most people say it's the plays you call. Well, really, it's the execution of the plays that really matters.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.
9-0 at halftime. Coach Saban a little bit calmer with Holly than he was after that penalty.
Or then he will be in the locker room.
And will be in the locker room. I'm sure Coach Holtz has been like that at one time or another as we head to the Buick halftime report. Here's Reese. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. 61st meeting.
1, 2, 3,
Here comes the Crimson Tide as they get set to take on the number 21 team in the country. So it's been tough to score points for anybody, but give Ole Miss credit. They are making the #1 team in the country earn every yard and every point. And we welcome you back to ESPN's College Football Primetime, presented by Hampton Hotels. Not a lot of offense in that first half. Passing yardage for Alabama, 135, and A.J. McCarron's had to complete 20 passes just to get that. But Ole Miss, 7 yards on the ground. There's a guy, Jeff Scott, against Texas, had 164 by himself. Brad Nessler and Todd Blackledge, I'm telling you, Ole Miss gets into Alabama territory twice. They turn it over on downs, and then they have a turnover. It might be a different story.
Right, and both of them they had made some plays. Hugh Freeze opted on that first drive to not attempt a 47-yard field goal, go for it on 4th down, chose not to try to go for first score, didn't get it, and then the turnover on a bad freshman mistake by Treadwell. And both defenses have played great. They've stopped the running game, and they have not allowed a big play in the passing game. And whoever can do that here in the second half is going to make some waves in the ball game. Ole Miss has to find a way to get a big play and get some of their playmakers involved.
And there you look behind Christian Jones, set to return the second half opening kickoff from Andrew Ritter. And Todd and I have both said that he sort of turned the game in Alabama's favor last year. when he took 199 yards for a touchdown. This one fielded in the corner over there by DeAndrew White. He's going to have to take a knee. They'll bring it out to the 25, and we'll bring it down to Holly Rowe.
Hugh Freeze, Ole Miss's coach, said he wished he would have kicked that field goal, but he said, I'm on the road against the #1 team. You got to take some risks. But look for them to do what they call red ball offense here in the second half. That means go fast. He's got to throw out the play calls, just call it from the hip. He said, we took way too much time, let Alabama get into all kinds of formations, high safety, cover 2, 2 men deep. He said, they did too much. We've got to go faster here in the second half. But, of course, getting first downs is the key to that.
Now they have to worry about trying to stop Alabama's opening drive. I always think that the opening drive of the third quarter sometimes tells you what the ball game is going to go like.
Especially in a game like this. And Ole Miss did a great job on first down in the first half. Yep. Right now they're going to give them 5.
Yep. You said don't give the #1 team freebies.
Offside. Defense. Contact number 94.
In the first
5
half,
yards.
Alabama ran 15 plays and only gained 42 yards. An average of 2.8 yards per play. And that's not winning football. And that's why they struggled offensively, and again, it all kind of goes back to the offensive line, and they're continuing being a work in progress.
Here's a quick throw, complete out to White's, short gain. Now, you mentioned earlier that shuffled offensive line. There's no Chance Warmack anymore, no DJ Fluker, no Barrett Jones. All guys that are playing in the National Football League now, so it's a different story right now.
And right now, no Ryan Kelly also, who is the guy who took Barrett Jones' spot. So we still have Chad Lindsey in as the starting center. So a lot of new faces up there.
There you see him, Lindsey, number 78, set to snap it to A.J. McCarron on second down and short. Closer to 3 than 2 for a first down. Yeldon, and here's his best run of the night. He spins his way with what might be a touchdown. Nobody's going to catch T.J. Yeldon. He's gone. "68-yard career-long run for a touchdown for T.J. Yeldon." So much for Ole Miss getting a stop on Alabama's opening march. Less than a minute into the third quarter. Cade Foster's point after is good. 75 yards in 2 plays. 52 seconds it took, and T.J. Yeldon is the man that took it. The handoff popped into the secondary, the spin move, and then 68 yards later, it's touchdown, Alabama, and it's 16-0 tied. His hip didn't look bad on that last play. 16-0 Alabama. Let's see how they're finding success. Brought to you by Expedia. Todd?
I talked about the offensive line of Alabama being a work in progress. I want you to watch how these two guys worked on this play. Anthony Steen is going to do a great job sealing the nose guard, and that's going to allow Lindsey to come out and get the linebacker. And then you're going to see Mike Mary, unblocked, miss a tackle. But it starts with the guard in the center, getting a hat on a hat, one missed tackle, and T.J. Yeldon does the rest.
TJ's got 100 yards rushing now, 91 of which have come on 2 carries, including a career long and the longest play from scrimmage this year for Alabama, by the way. Foster to kick. Long run to field at the goal line for Walton. And he's going to be cut down before we can even get to the 15-yard line. Dylan Lee's made a couple of plays tonight on special teams.
Dylan Lee scored a touchdown. He's the guy who scooped up the block punt on special teams last week against Colorado State. And he just knifes through there and makes a beautiful open field tackle. I thought they were going to have a chance on this because the kick was low. Dylan Lee said, nuh-uh.
And so now Bo Wallace and the Rebels have to work deep in their own territory. trying to find any kind of offense. Jeff Scott hasn't had anything tonight, and he gets very little there. Pickup of 2 as we check in with Holly.
A.J. McCarron, the quarterback for Alabama, is getting worked on the sideline by their head athletic trainer for Alabama, Jeff Allen. He's really kneading out and massaging that right forearm and elbow area of A.J.'s throwing arm. We'll keep our eye on this, guys, but something to consider.
All right, Holly, 2nd down and 8. Ole Miss. Wallace looks right. Now comes back to the middle. Good throw, complete to Logan, and a 1st down.
I'll tell you what, if Ole Miss doesn't get something going on this offensive possession, A.J. McCarron may not have to throw another pass tonight because Alabama's defense has just stifled this Ole Miss offense.
Again, they go hurry up after picking up the 1st down. Wallace, deep throw to the sideline, tipped and almost caught by Moncrief. Tried to tip it to himself, working against Eddie Jackson, the freshman over there.
It's a good job by Eddie Jackson. Again, these big-bodied receivers, you know, they want to try to almost be like a basketball rebounder, get in between the defender and the football and go up and catch the ball. And Eddie Jackson would have none of it. He stayed right there with Moncrief.
Comes a full blitz. They pick it up. Wallace still trying to get positive yardage, and then he gets crushed by 2 defenders. They brought the house from the right side there, Todd.
See, here's the difference with Alabama. Even if a team's trying to play tempo and no huddle, if you take too much time, they'll still call their defenses and they'll still call pressures. You know, they don't just keep it simple even though a team's going no huddle. Here they come again.
Same blitz. Scott can't get away from Eddie Jackson. Tide defense fired up.
Now that's what Hugh Freeze told Holly. We have to play faster because they're getting into too many defenses. They're going slow. That enables Kirby Smart to call pressure defenses, and they get another 3 and out. Or not a 3 and out, but a quick possession.
Doesn't hurt that they got that last touchdown. They got more money to play with right now. Campbell kicking. Jones, a long run off his fingertips, and then he has to take it out of bounds. Couldn't quite field it cleanly inside the 20-yard line. A struggling Ole Miss team. Alabama now with a 16-0 lead, and they got the ball back when we return.
ESPN College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Vizio Fandemonium, where you compete for points and the chance to win prizes and unique fan experiences. And Belk, the home of modern Southern style. Visit Belk.com today.
Back in Titletown, Tuscaloosa. College Football Primetime presented by Hampton Hotels. 16-0, the defending champions leading here, and they've got the ball back at the 17-yard line. P.J. Yeldon behind A.J. McCarron. The last time he touched it, he took it 68 yards. This time they fake it to him, and McCarron throws to the sideline. Christian Jones put the brakes on. He's got a 1st down, spins his way out for extra yardage. A pickup of 17.
You know, the one consistent message we heard all day yesterday from all the coaches and players at Alabama was about communication. How they had to be better communicating in practice, in the games. Well, we've seen that all night tonight by the Alabama defense. And that first possession of the 3rd quarter, we saw it with this offensive line. And that's really where it counts, is up front, those 5 guys communicating and being on the same page.
Quick throw out in the flat to DeAndrew White, and he picks up positive yardage. Holly?
That communication can take a hit when their starting center goes down. Ryan Kelly will not return to this game, guys. But Chad Lindsey, his replacement, is a junior. And Todd, I've noticed he is doing a nice job communicating, really over-exaggerating the calls, pointing out guys, miking the linebackers. And he's really doing a nice job out there so far, replacing Ryan Kelly.
Junior out of the Woodlands, Texas. There's Barrett Jones, who won the Outland Trophy, played pretty much every position on the offensive line and winning that Outland Trophy, and now is a member of the St. Louis Rams.
Has a younger brother, a tight end, Harrison, on the Alabama team right now.
Yeldon this time can't get away from the Ole Miss defense. Tony Connor in on the stop. So another 3rd down situation for Alabama. This would be a big stop for Ole Miss if they can hold them here.
Alabama coming into the game tonight ranked 123rd out of 123 FBS teams in plays per game. and pace of play. Only 59 plays a game, and that's not a bad problem right now because they've got the lead. Their defense is playing great, and they keep Ole Miss's offense to limited number of shots.
Trying to keep this drive alive on 3rd and 5. Blitz coming from Ole Miss. McCarron gets rid of it in a hurry. He's got a man wide open. Jones. Christian Jones takes it all the way out near midfield. And another first down on 3rd and 5. They get 11.
Again, communication. In blitz pickup, it's your 5 offensive linemen and your running back. That time, TJ Yeldon did a nice job of working with those 5. He picked up the outside blitz, enabled McCarron to make the throw for the first down.
AJ's hit his last 7 passes. And one of our impact players, Christian Jones, has been one of the main targets tonight. There's his 3rd down passing. Jones has 5 catches on the night, including that last one, to get it to midfield. Going to take a shot here, maybe. Well, the rush got to him. Flags are down. Might have holding. McCarron goes out of bounds unharmed. Run out of bounds by Serdarius Bryant.
Yeah, Lindsey, the new center, is the guy that got called for the hold.
Offense number 79. 10 yards from the spot. A first down.
I think it's Kimdichie that's down, isn't it? No, it's not. It's C.J. Johnson again. And he's already had issues.
He's holding his eye.
He might have gotten hit by the flag that was thrown.
He's got all kind of stuff going on.
Our spotter, Clint Dean, spotted that. There comes the flag right through the face mask.
Oh, that is really weird.
And that happened in the NFL with Orlando Brown, that basically he was blinded in his eye. That kind of cost him his NFL career. Well, hopefully he's all right.
Yep.
Rough night, CJ. Junior out of Philadelphia, Mississippi. He's had ankle issues, and now I'm sure his right eye is watering pretty well right now.
You get the feeling that the only chance Ole Miss has right now in this ball game is their defense, which has played a beautiful game, has got to get a turnover. They've knocked the ball on the ground a couple times but didn't recover. They need to get a turnover and give their offense a short field. Try to help them in that way.
Drake is in the backfield, flanking A.J. McCarron on first down at 20. McCarron flushed up in the middle of the pocket, runs into his own lineman and has to take a seat. Quanjo's a guy I ran into. That's the first sack of the night.
First sack, but they've had a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done a nice job. Even though A.J. McCarron has pretty good numbers tonight, he's been under duress. He's had to stay in the pocket, get hit, get knocked to the ground, find throwing lanes. This Ole Miss defense, very quick, very aggressive, and they put a lot of pressure on A.J. McCarron tonight.
Be interesting to see now if A.J. just tries to get some of this back. You get greedy on second down and 25, and you might make a mistake. 3 receivers to his left. They're going to play it safe and give it to Drake on a draw play, and he's only going to get about 2 yards. So now they are going to have third down and a bunch.
Like I said, A.J. McCarron has had a pretty productive half in terms of completion percentage, but he's had to do it with a lot of pressure. He's got knocked down several times. He's had to move in the pocket. He hasn't thrown for a lot of yardage, but a high percentage, and he hasn't turned it over. But Brad, just like you said at the end of the half, Ole Miss has made Alabama earn every yard and every point.
They've got to get all the way to the 40-yard line of Ole Miss for a first down. 3rd and 23.
This would be an 8-man zone defense trying to make him catch it in front.
They do catch it in front on a crossing route, but they'll only get back near the original line of scrimmage. Amari Cooper and Senquez Golson brings him down, so Alabama's got to give it up. Punting unit coming out.
Amari Cooper had such a brilliant year last year when he really came on the scene. Really in this game, had 8 catches for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns against Ole Miss last year, and that really propelled him. He's had a real slow start.
Yep.
Didn't play last week with an injury, only 6 catches.
Flags are down as the punt's away, and Scott's just going to let this one go to the end zone.
False start. Offense number 3. Not set prior to the snap. 5 yards from the previous spot. 4th down.
So they'll walk it back a little bit farther. Sunseri not set. And they'll punt it again. Jeff Scott hasn't done anything tonight. I don't know if he's going to get his hands on this punt, but he's a guy that we thought would make a impact tonight.
I'm not so sure if I'm Ole Miss, I don't try to go after this punt, though. Again, it's a true freshman snapper. Rather than set up a return, I'd go for a block here. See what you can do.
Sinceri again moving around before the snap. Wow, what a punt. Scott's got to let this one go, too. Bounces at the 1, and it made it to the end zone. 56-yard punt. Kept it out of the hands of a dangerous return man again. Ole Miss trailing by 16. They'll have the ball when we come back. Let's take a look at tonight's good hands play, brought to you by Allstate. And there are fumbles, and then there are fumbles lost. And for Alabama tonight, they put it on the ground, but they've gotten some fortuitous bounces. And of all the fumbles they've dropped, they've covered every one of them. That's kept the ball in their hands for their offense, which only has 3 field goals and a long run by T.J. Yeldon. But those are the breaks you have to remain undefeated and stay number 1. And right now, lead by 16. So far, a machine of 38 points a game. That's been the Ole Miss team through 3 weeks. 0 and 12 rushing yards. And now Wallace will take it. And this is the best run of the night for Ole Miss as he gets about 10 yards, run out of bounds by Clinton Dix.
And that's kind of their bread and butter play. They have the 2 options there. He can give it to Scott on the perimeter sweep, or he can keep it. This time he actually cuts it all the way back. Instead of following the guard up inside, he cut it all the way back and got a little over pursuit by the Alabama defense.
I'm not sure there wouldn't have been a flag if that would have been on the other sideline.
Yeah, good point.
Again, it's been not just tough sledding, no sledding for Jeff Scott tonight. He's got 10 yards on 5 carries.
Look at that, the football. Alabama knocked that football out away, and that slowed Ole Miss down again. They tried to line up and get going. Again, the time they take allows Alabama to call the defense that they want.
Wallace thrown into traffic and caught, though. Evan Ingram, boy, there's double coverage there.
Evan Ingram is one of those freshmen out of Powder Springs, Georgia. He was actually a high school teammate of Kenyon Drake, who we've seen tonight in the Alabama backfield.
3rd down and 3. Sunseri snuck up there momentarily as if he was going to blitz, and now Ole Miss looks to the sideline.
See, Ole Miss is looking to the sideline, and Alabama's looking to the sideline. Because of the time going off, both coaches changing things at the sideline.
Blitz coming. Wallace hangs in and throws a dart out near midfield. Good throw. Dante Moncrief and a pickup of 11, and they'll move the chain.
Now they got to go fast. They got to go fast and see if they can catch Alabama out of position. That's what Corvette means. They're going to run about 3 plays in a row at high tempo.
Jeff Scott, that's his best run of the night.
Here they go. And when they do this, they typically will run the same play 3 times in a row. They're not real fancy with it, but they want to go fast.
They won't run the same play here because Scott's over in the slot and it's an empty backfield. And Wallace on 2nd and short, throws, completes, goes to Scott though, and he's got another 1st down.
Stay with it. Stay with the tempo. This is what Hugh Freeze does. The rest of his offensive staff takes care of 3rd down and short yardage and goal line. He handles the tempo stuff.
There goes the tempo. Yep. Brandon Ivory, the nose tackle's down for Alabama.
He's down, and Jeff Scott took himself out of the game at the end of the play as well, I think, didn't he?
Yep. So just under 5 minutes remaining in the quarter.
See, if we were in Oxford right now, they'd be booing. They'd be thinking this was intentional to slow Ole Miss down. I don't think it was. I think Ivory really is got a problem there.
310-pound junior out of Memphis. And there's Jeff Scott, as Todd was saying. I don't know what's ailing him, but he's in some pain too. Looks like maybe his shoulder or his neck area. We're going to take a quick break here with 4:57 remaining in the 3rd. The SEC on ESPN from Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. Top-ranked Alabama pitching a shutout right now, but Ole Miss has something working offensively for really the first time all night. They've gotten in Alabama territory a couple times in the first half. Once they turned it over on downs after going on 4th down. Then they turned it over, and that led to Alabama points. 2 tight ends in there right now for Ole Miss.
It's a different play.
Play action. Wallace wants to throw back to the right side on a swing route. Oh boy, it was set up beautifully. And Ingram is hit, and this might be a targeting foul.
Yeah. Defenseless player. You know, Clinton Dix had a play in the A&M game that was called, but when they looked at it, he was actually going for the football. This was Eddie Jackson on this particular play. And even if the ejection is overturned, the penalty will stand as a targeting foul.
Here's a call.
Personal foul. Defense number 4, targeting a defenseless receiver. 15 yards from the previous spot, carries an automatic first down. For 4, is disqualified.
There's the ejection of Eddie Jackson.
The previous play is under further review.
The rule is if you hit or target above the shoulders in the neck or head area, it doesn't have to be helmet-to-helmet contact. You just can't hit with any part of your body above the neck. And that was a little bit of both.
Again, Ingram up in the air, couldn't handle it. Was a beautiful play call to get what would have been a first down. It's going to be a first down anyway, but then one of those big corners, and that's the biggest corner, even though he's a freshman, is not going to be in the ball game anymore unless this is overturned by review. And so we wait on official word. But for right now, Eddie Jackson, the freshman out of Lauderdale Lakes, Florida, will be out of this game and out of the first half of the next game.
And what the officials look for is they look for the intent to injure that goes beyond making a normal football play. It's kind of a judgment call by the official. And there's 2 types of targeting fouls. One is if you hit with the crown of your helmet, which Jackson did not do. The other one is if you target to the head or neck area of a defenseless player. And that's what's being looked at right now.
And whether he is ejected out of here or not, the penalty is going to stand. So when we get back to the field, we know that Ole Miss is going to have a first down about the 15-yard line. But we're waiting on Gerald Hodges and Hubert Owens to make that determination.
See, the hard thing there is that the intended receiver, Ingram's head was going down as well. I mean, he was defenseless, but watch, his head lowers just because he's losing his balance, and the contact happens above the shoulders in the neck or head area.
Let's bring in Dave Kataya, our rules expert, who's back in the studio. Dave, what do you think?
Well, it's very, very close. And what you said earlier about the runner, the pass receiver lowering his helmet is right. It looks like the defender may turn away from him, but he still has contact with the shoulders. And let's remember, on these calls, when in doubt, it is targeting. So it'll be very interesting what they come up with on this one.
Because they knew that whenever Moncrief doesn't line up on their sideline, it's a trick play. And Moncrief that time lined up away from the Ole Miss sideline, and that's why Alabama was actually in pretty decent position to make a play.
So Eddie Jackson waiting on his fate on the Alabama sideline, and 101,000 waiting on the call here at Bryant-Denny Stadium. And it's upcoming.
After review, the disqualification is reversed. Number 4 can remain in the football game. The 15-yard penalty will still be assessed.
So Eddie Jackson comes back out, but the sticks stay moved down to the 15-yard line.
See, that's the thing Nick Saban wants to be looked at next year, is that if you look at that and you don't even think it's a penalty, that the penalty shouldn't stand. That is something that will probably get discussed next offseason.
Itavius Mathers inside the 10 to the 8. That's his first carry. A pickup of 7. And they're trying to hustle up to the line again.
Yeah. Again, you want to try to get Alabama out of position a little bit and miss a gap in the running game.
Same guy, but only about a yard gain for Mathers. And now we got a little extracurricular going on. C.J. Mosley and Pierce Burton getting tangled up.
Well, I'm all in favor of being tough and aggressive if you're Ole Miss, but you got to keep your composure too. This is clearly after the play, and it's Pierce Burton taking C.J. Mosley to the ground. The key thing here is execution on third down. That's more important than putting somebody on their back at the end of a second down play.
I got to think this is 2-down territory with 3:40 to go in the third quarter, trailing by 16. 3rd down and 2. Blitz coming off the corner. Wallace throws, broken up. Intended for Moncrief, and Clinton Dix broke it up.
Yeah, he read it quickly. I think he got his hand on it, knocked it away.
And here we go on 4th down. Crowd's been fired up ever since that Eddie Jackson hit. And they're making it rough right now down in that end zone for the Ole Miss offense. This might be Ole Miss's best chance. Deepest penetration into Alabama territory. 4th and 2 at the 7. Wallace, play action, throw, knocked down by Mosley.
C.J. Mosley's right here, and he's just going to read the quarterback, move with his eyes, and then time his jump and knock it down. He was playing zone defense. He's reading the quarterback's eyes. He just kept moving, and got right in the throwing lane.
Trying to throw the slant at the goal line to Treadwell, but the All-American linebacker got in the path, and Alabama takes over. Just inside its own 8-yard line. Yeldon back in there. And that tailback slot behind A.J. McCarron. He'll get the call. And he gets him some room out to the 12. So over 100 yards for T.J. Yeldon tonight. Most of it came on 2 long runs, one of 23 and a 68-yard touchdown run. Only 3 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Ole Miss 3 trips into Alabama territory and absolutely nothing to show for it. Again, they jump around on that defensive front on 2nd down and 6. Yeldon trying to take it wide. Close to a first down. It's a little bit short, about a yard. There's the 2 loss of downs, or taken over on downs, and the 1 turnover in their 3 trips into the Tide's end. Ole Miss hasn't been 3-0 in 24 years, and they haven't been 4-0 since Archie Manning was playing quarterback in 1970. And if they don't get something going, they're not going to be 4-0 when this night's over. 3rd down and 1. Yeldon has the first down out across the 20.
And again, this is where the pace of Alabama, they're running to their left, which is their strength. They actually moved Anthony Steen over there to left guard on that play. It's kind of an overloaded left side on 3rd and short. Ran right behind their top guys for the first down. But their pace right now, this works perfectly. They're up 16-0. They don't care how many plays they run. They're not going to run tempo. They're going to run their tempo, which is take as much time as possible.
Which is what they're doing right now. Snap it with 7 seconds on the play clock and just give it to TJ again. And Yeldon powers his way to a first down at the 31-yard line. He's shown us the speed and the spin moves, and there he shows us the muscle.
And he protected the football at the end. Again, an overloaded line. Just a lot of blockers in there. No intention of throwing the football. It's just smash mouth now right at him. And the problem for Ole Miss is if they panic a little bit here and gang up at the line of scrimmage or try to strip it, TJ Yeldon's going to take one to the house.
Already has one house call tonight. Now they settle in with just over a minute to go in the third quarter. 1st and 10 at the 31. Again, Ole Miss showing a run blitz. This time it pays off. Loss on the play that time. So we check in with Holly.
Alabama linebacker C.J. Mosley with that huge stop for Ole Miss. He said, last week after they won against Colorado State, they didn't dominate the game like he thought they should. He said, I was upset. So he is not one of the vocal leaders on this team, but he called a meeting. He was so upset. He called the young guys out and said, look, we're not going to let what happened in 2010, well, little things got us beat because we didn't correct them from week to week. That's not going to happen. He really got on the young guys, said, if things happen, we've got to make adjustments. So C.J. Mosley's leadership really helping out this team.
They say when CJ says something, everybody listens.
Yeah, a little bit like E.F. Hutton, right? He doesn't say much when we talk to him either.
No, but he got the point across, like Holly said.
There's no foul for illegal substitution.
Kenya Drake in there at the tailback spot. A.J. McCarron will give it off to him. He breaks into the second wave. Out to the 38-yard line. 11 yards. 6 straight runs for Alabama. They're doing exactly what they want to do right now. And that's grind it out and let the clock wind down, which it does to end the third quarter at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Go!
Alabama, the #1 team in the country, pitching a shutout. TJ Yeldon doing the rest.
Let's go!
Fourth quarter coming up.
Let's go!
Beautiful shot at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Our aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Fourth quarter set to get underway. Brad Nutzler, Ty Blackledge, Holly Rowe, and our ESPN crew in Tuscaloosa, where the top-ranked Tide lead 16-0 as we enter the fourth, and they've got 3rd down and 3 to open it. And they're 7 out of 12 on their 3rd down conversions tonight. Empty backfield for A.J. McCarron. Quick throw into traffic, intercepted by Ole Miss. Cody Pruitt has got it back to the 30-yard line. And there's the interception or the turnover that Ole Miss has been looking for all night long.
They needed to create a short field for their offense. A.J. McCarron doesn't throw very many interceptions, trying to get it into Vogler, and Vogler slipped. As the ball was thrown, it was a good throw, and Vogler was going to the ground, and I think the ball just hit off of his shoulder pads and ricocheted right to Pruitt.
And now they've got to take advantage of this. Ole Miss at the 31-yard line. Treadwell joins the backfield. They fake it to him. Wallace, plenty of time, and now running out of time. Throws complete to Treadwell. And he got about 7 or 8 out of it. Well, this is a 4th trip now for the Rebels into Alabama territory. And so far, no points. Jalen Walton checks into the backfield. Up to the line at the 22. And a 2nd down and 2. Play fake tipped. Almost picked off. Eddie Jackson tipped that ball, got in the air, and diving attempts by several players to try to get to the football.
Kirby Smart expressed some real concern about his corners in this game. That time again, they're not being conservative with the hurry-up offense. That's a corner blitz coming from the short side. Eddie Jackson gets his hands on the ball and almost got an interception.
Ole Miss hasn't picked up a 3rd and 2 yet tonight, and they've had 3 shots at it. And they are desperately in need of one here. Wallace fires high, incomplete. C.J. Mosley and Sunseri were covering on Evan Ingram. And it's 4th and 2.
Too much traffic there. I think Bo Wallace just got locked into Ingram. There was double coverage inside on the tight end. He had 2 other receivers outside. that had single coverage.
Ole Miss knows that they don't have too many more opportunities to get their hands on the football. So here they go on 4th and 2 again. They've tried twice tonight and come up short twice tonight. Scott, this time he busts through, and he's got a first down. And that quiets the crowd momentarily as he goes down at the 18-yard line. And up to the line come the Rebels in the red zone.
Find the single coverage if you're Bo Wallace. See who they leave in one-on-one.
Scott, again, got a couple. Ed Stinson made the tackle. Jeff Scott, an explosive runner, but he's been totally kept in check tonight. Senior out of Miami, only 5'7" and about 165 pounds. But he has been big in a lot of Ole Miss's wins the last couple of years. Tonight, really tough trying to find any place to run against the Tide. 2nd and 7. Wallace has it batted at the line again. And Brandon Ivory was shaken up earlier. The big nose tackle got his paws on that one.
Well, that was really good coverage downfield by Alabama that time, too. I'm not sure where Wallace was thinking he was going to get that one. Maybe he was lucky that they knocked it down.
Yeah, maybe. In need of a first down. Everybody coming up close for Alabama. And now Wallace slows it, looks to the sideline. C.J. Mosley asking for some noise from the Alabama crowd, and he gets it. Wallace is going to have to call timeout. They were down to a second on the play clock, and the crowd was part of that, I'm sure.
Timeout. Ole Miss. It's their first time out of the half.
So the Bryant-Denny Stadium crowd forced that timeout. Most powerful conference in college athletics will live on a new network. Traditions found a new home. SEC Network launches in August 2014. For more info, go to GetSECNetwork.com. Here's the biggest third down of the night for the Rebels. 3rd down and 7. Still looking for their first points of the night. They've got to get to the 8 for a first down. Play action. Wallace in trouble again. And he'll go down after a gain of maybe 2. So here we go with 4th down one more time.
Alabama has really been locked in on what Ole Miss has tried to do offensively. They haven't been fooled by much of anything. Again, I go back to Tyler Siskey being on the Alabama staff. Spent those years with Hugh Freeze. Even though he's not coaching on the field, he was very involved this week in helping to prepare the Alabama defense.
They got 1 4th down on this drive. Now they need 5 to pick up another. Wallace throws too low, incomplete.
Movement. The right tackle moved early. Pierce Burton. Come up 5 more.
Before the snap, false start. Offense, number 71. 5 yards from the previous spot. 4th down.
Because it was pre-snap, they can't decline the penalty, so they would have taken over. They get another crack at it here. It was 4th and 10. Again, they have to reach the 8-yard line.
Ole Miss has 3 true freshmen on the field right now. A left tackle, a right guard, and a slot receiver.
An empty backfield. Scott comes out as the extra wide out. Down to the bottom of your screen. Do or die time for the Rebels right here. 4th and 10. Wallace fires. Tipped. Almost caught and incomplete. Deion Blue, I think, is the first guy that got a hand on it. And the Tide takes over on downs again.
Well, just nothing there. I mean, nobody even close to being open. It was a zone defense, combination coverage, Blue in position to get the deflection. Nowhere to throw for Bo Wallace.
You gotta let it go.
ESPN College Football Primetime is presented by Hampton Hotels. Feel the Hamptonality. And in part by the all-new GMC Sierra. That's professional grade.
Alabama takes over at its own 18-yard line again with a shutout in hand so far, 16-0. Ole Miss does not take advantage of the Pruitt interception. The last time A.J. McCarron put it in the air. Sure, we won't put it in the air too much. Well, maybe he will. Play action on the roll, and now he will run and slide out to the 22-yard line. Let's check in with Reese Davis. Reese.
Fred, Sports Center right now brought to you by Ally Bank. A game going on ESPN2. Alex Collins, a freshman running back from Arkansas, turning the corner, and the Hogs down 31-27. They have the ball right now against Johnny Manziel and the Aggies.
How good has that Collins kid been for Brett Bielema in Arkansas? He's something special. Second down and 6. And it's Drake. Nice run. Sidestepped a couple would-be tacklers and almost got a first down.
I made the comment at the top of the show that I expected to see Alabama's most complete effort of the season. Certainly we've seen that on defense. I think offensively they've been more consistent tonight. They still have work to do up front with their offensive line. Again, 3 new starters. Of course, now we have a new center in the second half in Chad Lindsey. New offensive line coach Mario Cristobal joined the staff this year. So they're still working up front, but I do think they've been much more consistent tonight as an offensive unit.
Fowler comes over to the left side and sets up. It appears they're going to run that way with Drake. He actually goes up the middle. He's got the first down, puts his shoulder into some would-be tacklers and gets extra yardage out to the 34-yard line. Big night when we're done in the Pac-12 tonight on ESPN and ESPN2. 10 o'clock on ESPN. Number 5 Stanford taking on Mike Leach's Washington State Cougars at 10:30 on ESPN2. USC will travel to Arizona State, take on the Sun Devils in ESPN's college football final. Stanford, Washington State at 10 on ESPN. USC and Arizona State 10:30 on ESPN2 tonight. There's how the standings in the Pac-12 look north and south. So big weekend conference play all over the country, including this SEC battle of unbeatens. Drake breaks contain, gets to the corner, little stutter step, almost to midfield. So you take out T.J. Yeldon, bring in Kenyon Drake, sophomore out of Powder Springs, Georgia, and not much difference.
Yeah. Fresh legs, very explosive, maybe even a little bit more explosive than T.J. Yeldon. And for the first time this possession, this Ole Miss defense looks tired. They've been on the field a long time. This is kind of a punch you in the mouth offensive philosophy here the last few possessions. And they look like fatigue has finally hit them.
You mentioned coming in, Alabama only averaging 132 on the ground per game. They've got 164 right now, including Yeldon, who went over the century mark. Play action. McCarron loads and unloads. Deep ball. Got it out there. Broken up. Amari Cooper got his hands on it.
There's a flag down. That ball was underthrown by A.J. McCarron because Cooper had his man beat. If that ball's thrown out in front of him, it's a touchdown. But let's wait and see what the penalty was.
Ineligible receiver downfield on the offense. Number 22 was covered up. 5 yards from the previous spot. First down.
Well, he is a wide receiver, but uncovered or covered.
Yeah. Well, that suggests an alignment problem by the wide receivers.
So that one would have come back anyway.
Yep.
So now it's 1st and 15 back inside the 45. And again, 3 receivers go to the top of your screen, and Vogler, the tight end, in there as well. Nobody to the left. Drake will run that way. Got hit by Serdarius Bryant in the hole after a short game. And we're under 10 minutes now. Alabama trying to cruise to their 8th straight win dating back to last year. This would be their 9th straight win over Ole Miss. A third of the season will be in the books when we get done tonight. Do you believe that?
I know.
This is Alabama's 60th snap. And as Todd said, they're not worried about getting 80 like a lot of other teams. And right now they're just grinding it out, using the play clock for all it's worth and giving it to this guy to get what he can and then get down and then start all over again. It'll be under 9 minutes by the time they even go back to the huddle. Ole Miss has used one of its timeouts earlier. This is one of those Alabama-looking drives where they may never get their hands on it again.
Yeah.
When they go for 140 plus in the last 5 years, they don't lose. When they win the turnover battle in the last 5 years, they don't lose. They've used 5 minutes of the clock, but now they do face 3rd down and 9. From the 49, McCarron blitz coming. He's got to throw it low. That time the pressure got to him. Kenny Bell, the intended receiver. AJ will get a hand up from his fullback, but they will have to get rid of the football here and punt it.
You know, A.J. McCarron has had an efficient night, but it hasn't been an easy night for him. He's gotten hit a lot. He's been knocked to the ground several times. And that doesn't normally happen to him as a starting quarterback at Alabama.
That first half, he completed 20 passes, but it was only for about 7 yards or less each pass, or at least averaging it out. So he's had to throw a lot of balls tonight to get the yardage he has. Mandel. Jeff Scott will have to take a fair catch back around the 10-yard line. So 8:15 remaining. That's all there is left for Bo Wallace and Ole Miss to do something about a 16-0 score.
Well, this week, Ole Miss quarterback Bo Wallace made this very grand statement. We can put points on them, talking about Alabama. We've got better receivers than A&M. I don't know if they're exactly first-round corners. Well, no points have been scored so far by Ole Miss. I heard somebody on the Alabama sideline say, why would he ever say that? Why try to make Alabama mad? Just don't want to poke the bear sometimes.
So the question would be, does Bo know Bama? The answer is no.
Not this Bo.
Here he is from near his own goal line. Aaron one out, and now he's got a man out there. This might be a fumble. Nope, incomplete. It was Moncrief who had it just for a split second. Eddie Jackson knocked it away.
Eddie Jackson has held his own tonight. That was a concern coming in for Alabama. The freshman corner going against Moncrief. He has held his own. Doesn't give up on the play. You know, he's beat. It's a good throw. Did he secure it all the way down? I don't know. Jackson did not give up on the play, which is what he's taught to do.
I think that was Wallace's best throw of the night. Unfortunately, his wide receiver didn't catch it. Now he's in his own end zone. Look out for a safety. He lobs one to the sideline.
That could be intentional grounding again.
If it is, it's a safety, but no call.
Where's the receiver?
Quarterback was out of the pocket. Got the ball passing out of scrimmage.
That's the key right there, Hubert. Yep. Thank you. That's what I wasn't sure if he got across the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Didn't by much, I'll tell you that much.
He did.
Bo Wallace has hit one of his last 9 passes. If he ever needed one, it's right here, and Alabama knows it. Double clutches, completes it to Treadwell, but he's only going to get about 3 yards out of the deal. Todd, what I was going to ask you, you mentioned earlier he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but he really winds up to throw, doesn't he?
Well, he does, and because of that, if he doesn't throw with great timing, I mean, he's not going to have very much success, especially against a team like Alabama. They've got speed in the back end. They cover guys tightly. They close windows quickly. So if you don't throw with perfect timing, you're not going to complete many balls.
Tyler Campbell now will punt from his own end zone, or close to it. Christian Jones waits back around the 40-yard line. And again, a knuckleball of a punt that's going to go out of bounds close to midfield or right at midfield. Well, right now, Alabama is chewing up Ole Miss. We're going to see what Todd chewed up on Taste of the Town when we come back. Time right now for Todd's Taste of the Town.
Right across the Black Warrior River in Northport is a diner called the City Cafe that's been here for over 80 years. Now, the current owner, Joe Barger, ate here as a youngster, worked here in high school, and bought the place in 1974. They open at 4 a.m. and serve breakfast at 10:20. The lunch menu kicks in at 9:30, and they shut down at 3:30. I timed it just perfect to have a little bit of both.
Figured you would. We'll see what the results were here in a second. Alabama takes over. Actually in Ole Miss territory at the 49, following that short punt. Vogler, the tight end, setting up in the backfield. And A.J. McCarron wants to throw off play action. Scrambles around in the pocket, now throws long and broken up. Incomplete as we check back in with Todd and what he had today.
Now, the menu features different meats and vegetables for each day of the week, and I was thrilled to find out that one of the Friday selections, an old favorite of mine, fried chicken livers with onions and gravy. Add to that macaroni and cheese, black-eyed peas, and some green beans, and a breakfast biscuit with fried bologna. Roll, Todd, roll.
Roll, Todd, roll. I'm sorry I'm not with you on that one, brother. I think you might have lost some people on that one.
No gray area with liver. You either love it or hate it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Now, I got to admit, my brother Bill would have joined you in that,
Yeah.
but everybody in our production meeting this morning
they didn't like it.
Kind of went like this on that one.
Well, my dad loved it. Joe Barger, the owner, loved it, and I love it. And it's a great place. You know, all that food I had, $8.92 is all it cost me.
You're going good with the per diem. That's awesome. And Todd had a great outing today at Ramajama's with his Taste of the Town books. And great crowd showed up here in Tuscaloosa to welcome Todd to town and his Taste of the Town. Third down at 6 at the 45. McCarron, deep sideline throw again. Just going to throw up a prayer, threw that one out of bounds as Cody Pruitt was coming out of safety blitz.
You know, a lot of people were asking about Alabama coming into this game. Are they deserving of the #1 ranking in college football? I would say yes, they still are. They are still the team you have to knock off. You look at some of the other teams. Oregon looks very good this first month. They're playing Cal tonight. Clemson with a big win over Wake Forest today. Ohio State up right now early on Wisconsin. Stanford playing later on tonight. But are any of those teams clearly better than Alabama? I don't think so.
Punt coming up by Cody Mandel. Jeff Scott has to let it bounce. Are they going to save it from the end zone? It's right on the goal line almost. What do they say? 1 foot line? Landon Collins got down there. And you can't do it any better than that as a punter. And the officials are still having a conference. They're going to put it down on the 1 foot line.
Landon Collins in perfect position behind the football. Doesn't matter where his body is. His body can be in the end zone as long as the ball doesn't cross the plane.
And he hit it out with his left hand after missing it with his right hand. And right there, I was wondering if anybody had their foot on the goal line, but apparently not. So Ole Miss has got to set up in their own end zone. Got to be very careful here against an Alabama defense that would love a safety to add to the total. Wallace. I think you can add a safety to the total. Yes, you can.
Well, again, this is one of my pet peeves. This is the one thing I don't like about
that the quarterback did not get the ball out of the end zone. There's a safety.
One of the things that I don't like about some of these no-huddle offenses that never go under the center. I mean, you're already 6 yards in the end zone. I mean, that's one where you got to get under center and quarterback sneak and get it out of there. You take that ball 6 yards deep, fake a play action, and then try to run up the middle against this defense? No chance.
Swarming Tide defense drops Wallace. Pagan and Mosley, the first guys to meet him. They got help from their friends, and it's 18-0. And Ole Miss has to kick it away to Alabama.
Now, Alabama's defense, this is their 4th game. Their defense has been really good in 3 of the 4. The only game that they didn't play well was against Texas A&M when they gave up more yards than an Alabama team has ever given up. 628 yards, I think, to Johnny Manziel and Texas A&M. And you know what? Here's the deal with that. Johnny Manziel is the best player in college football, the most exciting, dynamic player. And Mike Evans, their wide receiver, had an all-world night. 7 catches for 279 yards. This defense is still legit, though.
Well, as you said, they might lose a few style points for their offense, but their defense isn't going to lose any tonight.
Defense solid, special teams solid. Offense had some moments of inconsistency in the first half. Kind of grinded it out here in the second.
Kick goes out of bounds right about the 20-yard line, so it's going to be good field position at the 35 for Alabama now with a comfortable lead as we take a look at our Discover game changer. He was bottled up for a while, had a couple of long runs. That one good for 23 yards. This one, a tough run up the middle. And the ice capper was the spin move, and see you later from 68 for the touchdown.
Now remember, he didn't play the first quarter of the Colorado State game for a disciplinary reason. Came in, had a 38-yard run, and after that, the rest of the running game was pretty much non-existent against Colorado State last week. But he is a difference maker, there's no question.
So Alabama, first down at the 50.
I'd imagine we have some backups in there up front, getting ready to go now.
Nope. Kenyon Drake breaks into the secondary. He is going to take it unless Pruitt can get there. No. Touchdown, Alabama. $50-yard touchdown by Kenyon Drake.
When a defense gets tired, they start lunging, they miss tackles. This is a defense that played beautifully in the first half. They're worn down now. And Kenyon Drake has got fresh legs, and he wants a touchdown. Starting offensive line still in the game, knocked him around, and Drake got the touchdown.
So first you get a huge dose of T.J. Yeldon. And now Drake is close to 100, and the offensive line is loving it. They get on their men and let guys like that do the rest. And just like that, it went from a relatively close game to 25-0 as we check in with Reese Davis.
All right, Brad, we'll let you know what's going on ESPN2. Arkansas and Texas A&M, 38-27. Aggies have the lead. Brandon Allen to Jonathan Williams. He'll pick his way through, break some tackles. It's like a weeble he wouldn't go down. 2-point conversion, no good, but that's a 5-point game. Just under a minute to go in the third.
So still a lot of football left in Fayetteville. Not much left here. 5:32 remaining. And there's the two guys now. So much for the 132 yards a game average rushing. 220 between the two.
Well, you just stay with it. And I really credit Doug Nussmeier, the offensive coordinator, for not abandoning the running game when they only had 36 yards rushing in the first half. This quickness of the Ole Miss defensive front created a lot of problems in the first half. They just stuck to it. You know, they knew their defense was playing great. They wanted to keep working on that running game, the communication up front, and pretty soon they started to have their way with this Ole Miss defense as fatigue started to set in.
There's Ryan Kelly, the starting center, on crutches. But the guy that took his spot did a nice job, or has done a nice job, Chad Lindsey. And you saw the former center in the stands here, Barrett Jones, we mentioned a couple of times. Guy that started really 3 different positions on the offensive line during his stay. There he is. One of the great kids to be around. Not only a good football player, one of the smartest guys and most polite guys you'll ever meet. At the 5-yard line is Moore. And Moore to the 25. Eddie Jackson, we talked about the corners and whether or not he'd be an impact player tonight, and he has been, Todd.
He really has. He's a freshman, a very talented guy. And Nick Saban said, we played our older guys in the first couple games, but these younger guys might be a little bit more talented, and it's time to get them involved. Eddie Jackson got the start tonight, drew the assignment of guarding Moncrief, a big-bodied receiver, and more than ably held his own. Had the one targeting foul, the penalty stayed, but the ejection was overruled, got to stay in the ball game, and he's played a really nice football game.
And he made a couple more plays after he was reinstated into the football game. Bo Wallace has had a troubled night. It's even worse now. He just fumbled, and Alabama's got it.
Well, you know how a quarterback needs to have a clock in his head?
Yep.
His clock just struck midnight because he just held the football way too long. You just can't do that. If it's not there, you got to throw it away or run, but this defense is too good, too fast, and right now with a 25-point lead, they got their ears pinned back.
Denzel Duval is the guy that forced the fumble. You see him coming, number 30 from behind with the big swipe on Wallace's hand. And then Ed Stinson licking his chops from that defensive end spot, scoops it up and covers it.
I'm guessing that Bo Wallace won't make any more quotes about another team's defensive corners or
his
ability.
Offensive receivers.
Yeah. Yep.
Blake Sims in at quarterback for Alabama. Gives it off to Fowler. And Fowler goes ahead for about 5. And we approach 5 remaining. Blake Sims, junior out of Gainesville, Georgia. He's played a little bit this year. Only thrown 2 passes. He won't have to throw much. He had 74 yards rushing in the game last year between these two teams.
All the starters are still in there up front. Again, they're trying to continue to work on their communication. Even though you got a backup quarterback in, you still want those guys up front working together.
Alti Tenpenny is the tailback. Sims keeps this on the option read and will lose a yard. Mike Hilton.
Here they come now. You saw Nick Saban on the sideline talking to Mario Cristobal, the offensive line coach. And I think he said, you know what? Let's get those big guys out. Let's not get another guy hurt. We already lost our center for the game, and hopefully the injury to Ryan Kelly's not serious. Let's get the other 4 guys out and see if the backups can get us in the end zone.
Saw Ari Quanjo come out to a big round of applause from the fans here. Not very many who have left Bryant-Denny Stadium. They're sticking around to enjoy every bit of this. Looked like movement on the offensive front for Alabama. I think a false start.
False start. Offense. 5 yards. 3rd down.
Let's check in with Hollick.
You see Alabama center Ryan Kelly out here on crutches, but somebody did say it's not as bad as it looks. Alabama does not give injury information, but he came out, he gave some guys some hugs, he had a smile on his face, so hopefully it's not bad news for Ryan Kelly, even though he is on crutches.
All right, Holly, thanks. Sophomore out of Westchester, Ohio. Third and long here for the Tide. Trying to let that clock wind down as much as possible. Sims will keep it again.
That's the Ole Miss play. Fake the sweep. Quarterback keeps behind the guard pulling. They have a little different offensive package with Blake Sims than they do with A.J. McCarron. He's a little bit more of a dual threat. Probably a little bit better runner than he is a passer. Of course, they're not looking to throw the football at this point in the game either.
And they're going to stay out there on 4th down, though. Either way, when you're a coach, you go, well, I don't need 3 more points. I'd like 5 more yards. 3 minutes remaining. So if they don't pick up 5, Ole Miss will get the football back. And it's going to be close, but I think they are going to get the football back. About a yard short. And the Rebels offense will come back out.
Well, what Ole Miss has to learn from this game and in this moment here in the final 2:48, it's been a miserable night for their offense. It's been a really difficult night for Bo Wallace. But you know what? This is only the 4th game of the season for them. They're 3-1. They go to Auburn next, and then they have 6 games in a row at home in Oxford. They still have a chance to have a better season record-wise than they did last year when they went 7-6. You got to learn from this and finish the fight here tonight.
They've got 2:48 remaining, but they start at their own 9-yard line. Spinning out for 2 or 3 is Jalen Walton. This is what Todd was talking about when you look at the schedule. And it's kind of a strange schedule because of being on the road so much early and at home so much late.
Yeah, 6 in a row after the Auburn game. In fact, they won't leave the state of Mississippi after October 5th because their last game is down the road in Starkville on a Thursday night.
Egg Bowl?
Yep.
And this is how hard it's been to run all night against the Alabama defense. And this is even different guys on the Alabama defense than who started the game, but same result. And we're under 2 minutes.
Anybody that wants to beat Alabama, and you know, in the last 5 years they've lost 7 games. They don't beat themselves. You have to beat them. And Ole Miss hung in there early, and then ultimately they were no match for the Crimson Tide.
And then things like that happen when you hit your receiver, who probably should have had it, though it was good defense. Got to hold on to some of those, help your quarterback out a little bit. Now, points leader Matt Kenseth is 2 for 2 in the chase for the Sprint Cup, and now he's got his sights set on the checkered flag in round 3. 8 races to go. NASCAR's best continue the drive for the championship. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover tomorrow, 1 o'clock on ESPN and live on Watch ESPN. Again, having a punt from their own goal line. Ball goes out of bounds around midfield again. Actually, they're going to walk it all the way up to the 46-yard line. Well, so far in college football today, there was an upset. But in the SEC, Aaron Murray with another big game. 4 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing as Georgia beat LSU between the hedges by 3. Yep. Connor Shaw was hurt. Out 2 to 3 weeks from what we understand, but they did come back and beat UCF. West Virginia with the upset today over Oklahoma State. And Clint Trickett, he hung in there, man. He's not the biggest dude, but he got pounded around and they still won. And Oklahoma beat Notre Dame to get a little payback from last year.
I think people are going to have to start taking Oklahoma a little more serious at this point, too. Yeah. I think Bob Stoops got a pretty good football team.
This is Derrick Henry as they continue to use as many tailbacks as they can, get everybody a few snaps.
It'd be interesting to see how serious the injury to Connor Shaw is. You know, the good news for South Carolina, they do have Dylan Thompson, who can come in and came in and played pretty well today, but Connor Shaw gives him that dual threat coming into the day. You know, all the attention goes to the guys that have a name that starts with M, the quarterbacks in the SEC, right. But Connor Shaw has put up some pretty good numbers.
Last time Alabama shut somebody out was the second to last week of the regular season last year. They beat Western Carolina 49-0. And there's a hungry freshman wanting to get a little bit of work, and he picks up 13 yards. Alabama's schedule looks like this. Georgia State coming in next week, and then back to the SEC.
And you take a look at their schedule and who they play on the other side in the SEC East, at Kentucky and at home against Tennessee.
They're going to be favored the rest of the way, pretty much.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a pretty favorable schedule for Alabama.
And
timeout.
Nick is still coaching.
Alabama.
Even though he's got a big lead. 20 seconds remaining.
Does he ever stop?
No, he doesn't. As you said, when we walked in his office the other day, first time I've seen a smile on his face that big is because his son's wife is about 3 months away from him becoming a grandpa for the first time. And he's, 62, so he knows there's a granddaughter coming. Man, he was turning all red in the face.
He was.
And then
he had the pink tie on, and his face got pink. And, I mean, he was clearly excited about it.
It was a lot different than the red on his face before halftime and the red on his face right now, because he coaches to the very end. And with 20 seconds left, they're going to have a kneel-down victory play there. And they go to 4-0, they being the defending national champions, and 2-0 in conference play. So that is the 8th straight win for the Crimson Tide, dating back to last year. It is the 10th straight time they've beaten the Rebels of Ole Miss. 254 yards rushing in 38.5 minutes. Time of possession will do that for you. 25-0 is the final. Don't forget, number 5 Stanford and Washington State is coming up next. College football scoreboard as well. 25-0 here as we send it back to Reese and the guys in the studio.